Okay, so let's get started. I have a couple of things that I want to talk to you about before we go back at looking at SET, okay? And let me just start by opening up a terminal window, okay? And I'll explain why I'm taking this small detour right now. It's going to matter in a little bit, so I want to just emphasize something to you. All right, so let me just enlarge my font here, shrink down the window. Okay. All right. Now you may have noticed that in using SET, we've been using a lot of single quotes. I just want to talk a little bit about what the implications of that are, okay, before we go further. So let's start with looking at the following. If I say echo, and then I type home like that, you notice it's all caps, right? Okay, you can tell that this is some kind of variable because it has a $ in front of it. And then I get back home student, you I'm sure did too, okay, right? And that's because this is an environment variable, and what it does is it points to the home directory of the current user, and that happens to be you, okay? Now, if there were another account on your computer which you could set up, right, it would probably be called /home/ and then some other name, right? Okay, like let's say you set it up so it's got the name John, okay, so that's /home/John, and then when it was the home variable would be set to /home/John, and the idea being that when you type CD, it puts you in that directory. It goes and looks up what is the home directory for this user again. Okay, this is what it does, right? Now, if instead I type the following, let's see, I'm going to use my up arrow key to get back the command, okay, and now I'm going to use double quotes, okay, put double quotes around it, right? When I type this, I get exactly the same thing back, right? It didn't matter, right, in this case, and that's partly because there's no spaces in this thing that I wanted to echo back, right? Now, let's say instead I type the following. I'm now going to be using single quote. The single quote is on the key just to the left of the enter key, right? And then I put $home, okay, right? I close it off with that same single quote, okay? And instead of the meaning or the interpretation of the variable, I get the actual variable name back, okay? So when we're using it, the single quotes, that's why we're using them that way with SET. We want to actually send that specific text to SET, okay? So just keep that in mind as we go. A couple more things, all right? We use single quotes around a SET substitution so that things won't be inadvertently replaced, okay? We want to make sure that it's just the text that we're sending, not what it means, okay, underlyingly. All right, now, a couple more examples just so you get the idea, right? Let's say I type the following, echo, okay, you are in the, oops, sorry, need some spaces, in the, okay, now I'm going to use that same quote, the one just next to my enter key, PWD directory, period. And then I close it out with a double quote, okay? All right, so it prints it out, and the double quotes, the fact that we use them to surround the whole thing means the spaces print correctly, the single quotes are preserved, right? Now, if instead I'm going to use the up arrow key to bring back the command so I don't have to type the whole thing again, I go back now and I replace those single quotes with the single quote that is on, bless you, on the key that is up in the northwest corner of the keyboard just below the escape key, right? You see how it prints differently to the screen? Oops, PWD, I want it to go like that, right? Okay, and we go ahead and use those, right? And then if I hit enter, okay, then in this case, the string that was enclosed, the PWD that was enclosed by that different kind of single quote actually was interpreted, okay, and then replaced with the present working directory, right? Okay. Now let's look at this again and change it again, okay? This is a way, what we're going to do now is pretty common, okay, to use. Okay, do you see how I have the $ and then I surround the PWD with those parentheses? And what I'm saying now is, again, I want that to be interpreted, executed, okay? So how we actually put these out it's going to determine how it's actually going to be printed to the screen. Is part of it going to be interpreted? Is part of it just going to be printed? And you see the difference in the contrasting ways that you can use these. All right, these are examples I want you to keep in mind as we go forward. We're going to circle back to this. We may be circling back to this today, or it may have to wait till next class. Just have to see how far we get today. All right? Yeah.
When I accidentally forgot to put the parentheses in, it just did not print anything. So it just said you are in the blank directory. Like, why wouldn't it have printed the you are in the money PWD directory?
When
it tries to dereference the variable, but there is no variable. Like if you did PWD equals something,
Yeah.
you set a variable for it. If then you did $sign PWD, it would dereference the variable.
Okay.
And then place that in.
Okay, so it thinks it's a variable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so can you tell me what you typed, though?
Did you hit up?
Yeah, like that?
And just remove the parentheses?
Oh, okay. All right, so, yes, so like Dylan was saying, it assumes that you've already set up some variable that you call PWD, which I don't recommend doing since it's the name of a command, right? Don't do that, okay?
Unless if you did PWD equals $sign parentheses PWD.
Yeah, that would be okay, but still, even there, I still wouldn't do it. Avoid, like, don't use cat as a variable name or ls or anything like that, okay? Like, just, you have a lot of power with this. I would avoid doing that until you know more, okay? And even then, be really careful, okay? All right, so going on from there. All right, I want to return to an example that we were looking at right at the end of class last time, because I want to make sure that I don't mislead you as to, I may be repeating what I said, I'm not sure, because I can't remember exactly what I said about this, but I want to make sure that I'm clear on this. So we were looking at an example that had to do with replacing text with the file that was called Unix. You remember that one? Now, if you deleted it, I deleted mine. Okay, I'm going to have to build it again, so I'm just going to go ahead and use Featherpad. I'm going to move into my desktop because that's my workspace here, right? I'm going to make this window a little bit smaller because I want to be able to see the things that I have on my desktop. Okay, I'm going to use Featherpad and ampersand. Now, if you already have your file and you still have it from last time, great, just pull it up, okay? You're going to want to be able to look at it while we're working with this, all right? If you didn't, then just go ahead and type it in. I'm a fairly fast typer, but I do make mistakes, so it's going to take me a minute. System, okay, then we had the capital Unix system, and then we had the Unix operating, bless you, system, and then we have the Unix operating system, okay? That was the file, and I'm going to save it as Unix was the name of it. I have it on my desktop, right? Let me just go, yeah, and I'm going to call it Unix down here. Okay, and then it should appear. It didn't appear. Why didn't it appear? I think I ended up putting it in the wrong place. Okay, let me just move it. I think it's in my home directory. Unix. Yep. Okay, there we go. So I moved it. All right, so now I have this file. Okay, now one of the things that I'm not sure that I said very clearly was when you use this, okay, and then we had this other file which was OS, right? Okay, I have to get that one as well. Whoops, the file doesn't exist, right? Let's open it up. Ha, open. Where is it? Open. It's in desktop. There it is. Okay, now we have it again. I'm going to open a new file. New. Okay, I need the OS, right? This one. Wait, hang on a second. I got to get rid of this one that doesn't exist. I'm going to discard changes. There we go. Okay, let's go to this new one here. Okay, the new one have some substitutions in it. You may remember we were looking at these last time. You know, the string you want to find is Unix all lowercase, and you want to replace that when you find it with capital Unix, right? And then there's the next substitution, which is capital Unix, replaced with Unix like that, all capitalized, and then S, Unix system with Unix operating system. Oops, no, I had to have a space in there, sorry. Operating system, okay? Okay, and that was the whole thing, right? We do save. and I'm going to call it OS. It's on my desktop. Okay, there it is. All right, now the way that I'm going to be looking at this is sed-f OS Unix. The idea being that I'm calling sed and I'm telling it to look in this file called OS for the instructions as to what to do with the file that we're working on, which is called Unix. Okay, so go like that. All right, and this is what we got last time. Now the thing that I want to talk about is what's actually happening here. Okay, let me drag this out. There we go. Great. This is awesome. Okay. So we have the original file. I'm going to go over here like this. Sorry, I'm going to do a little bit of moving stuff around. Okay, there's the window that shows the output. Here is the original file that we worked on. Here is the result. Here are the commands down here that we applied. Okay, so what happens is this. Remember, this is a stream editor, okay? It works on a file one line at a time. So this is what happens. The file that we're working with, we give it the file name. Sed takes the first line and applies the entire script to that line. Okay, so every single command here gets applied to the first line, and then it will print out what we get. Okay, then it moves on to the second line, applies the entire script sequentially to that second line. Okay, it works one line at a time. It doesn't care how long your file is. It's not looking at the whole thing. It's a stream. Okay, stream editor. It looks one line at a time. I want to emphasize that because I don't know about you, but I'm kind of accustomed to looking at a file and seeing the whole thing at once. When I look at a file like this one, I say I can see all 4 lines at once, right? But sed doesn't do that. It's one line at a time. Okay, and this actually is a great thing because it means that you can deal with extremely large files, and sed can deal with them without it being a problem. In contrast to something like Excel. Okay, when you work with Excel and you load in some kind of table into Excel, okay, the whole thing is there. The whole thing. You're working on the entire thing all at once. Okay, it's not doing it line by line by line. And so if it has capacity limitations, there's only such a certain size of file that it can accommodate, or a table. This said you can deal with something that has a billion lines in it and it's going to be fine. Okay, so I'm just going to mention that because I want you to keep that in mind as we look into some of sed's more powerful capabilities. Okay, so as we looked at before, the Unix system right here, what's going to happen? This lowercase Unix gets replaced, right, with capital Unix. So, right, that's the first thing that happens. So we're just looking at, oh, this is all the stuff that we did last time, right, with the font. Okay, that's class. Okay, so we have the first line, which is the Unix operating system, right? Oh, no, it's not, actually. What's the first line? It's just the Unix system, right? Like that, okay? And so, like I said, like sed works at, no, sorry, that was pretty bad. Sed just works one line at a time, right? One command at a time, one line at a time. So you just go through, take that line and then replace, okay? So the first thing that happens is this gets changed into capital Unix, right? Because there's a match. And then the next thing is it goes to the next line, and it's going to go ahead and match up that capital UNIX and put in this, right? And then the third line is take, if you find this combination of capital Unix and system, you replace it with Unix operating system, okay? And that's why that first line comes out the way it does, okay? And that's how it is for all of the lines. I'm not going to go through it exhaustively, but you get the idea here, okay? Because we did look at this last time. All right, is that clear? Keep this in mind because we're going to be doing more things with sed today. All right. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is there are times when, okay, you see that the way that this script is written here, the OS, with all these lines in here for doing substitutions. What happens is all of these lines, these commands, get applied to every single line in this file, right? But there are times when you don't want to do that. Sometimes you want to apply commands to only certain lines of a file, okay? So let's go now and start looking at, yeah, let's take this now and change it so that we, we'll have a new file, okay? Let's put this one aside for now. Okay, so I guess I'll go up into here because this is the one we're going to be changing first. Okay, let's go and do a new one. New, okay? And here is the file that I want you to type in, okay? It's 1 big fish, okay? And the next one is 2 little fish. Oops. Okay, with spaces, right? Then there's 3 red fish. And then there's big blue fish. And then 4 red fish. I think that's the last one we want to put in here. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, let's try that, okay? And we're going to save this as fish list. Save as, I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but you're going to have to remember how what you call it is something different from what I call it. So fish list, okay? So I'm going to call it fish list. You know, some people have wish lists, some people have fish lists. Okay, all right, so that's the first thing we're going to do. Now, I'm going to close this off, and we just have the one here with the fish list, okay? All right, now let's do some things to this. We could set up some commands where we just do the same thing to every single line of this file, right? Okay, we could, if we wanted to. Give me a second, I gotta look for something here. Okay, so for example, I could say cat fish list. Okay, I could do that, and then I could say, I'm gonna pipe that into sed, okay, which remember is a stream editor, so it's just going to go one line at a time because when you cat, you're displaying the whole file, right? And I'm going to say s. Let me make this a little bit wider because I want to show the whole thing. Notice we're enclosing it in the single quotes, s, and then slash fish slash shark. Okay, so what will that do?
It'll replace all the fish with shark.
Let's see. Indeed. Okay, so now we have, let me move this down here because I want to be able to see it. Every place we had fish, we had sharks. So that's pretty nice, okay? But let's say now I say, okay, well that's great, except I don't want every single instance of fish to be replaced with shark. I only want to do it for the line that has 2, okay? But I want to leave all the other ones the same and make them fish, okay? So there is a way to do that. Let's get this back, okay, this command back. And the thing that we need to add now comes at the beginning of this string, okay, where we put in what's called an address. Okay, we say the line that contains the string TWO. That's where I want to do the substitution, okay? It has to match that. So let's try this now, okay? Okay, so that's worked. That's called addressing, okay, where you just put that in at the beginning. Now, let's say it worked great. What happens if I put in red instead? What's it going to do?
The red fish.
Okay, so we have 2 lines that contain red, so they both get changed into sharks, okay? Which is logical, it makes sense. You probably could have guessed that was going to happen, right? Okay, now here's one question. So the thing we're replacing comes after where we're matching, right? Here's the match, red, right? Or down here, I guess I should say. I'm matching up red, and the thing I'm subbing in comes after, right? I had up here red, that's the the thing I'm searching for, the line that contains red, and here's the substitution. I'm looking for fish, right? Does it have to be that way? Okay, let's go back. And let's say instead now, the thing I'm going to look for will be little. Okay? And the thing I want to replace is 2. Okay? So the word little appears after, on the line, the word 2. Okay? And then let me put in here, I won't put 2, I'll put like 5. Okay? Just to keep it consistent. Okay. So that worked, right? So that tells us that all you have to do is find the string somewhere in the line, okay? And if the substitution occurs sequentially to the left of it, it'll still happen, okay? Something to keep in mind, all right? Now you notice I'm not using G, the global here. There's no need for that because we have so few words in every line, all right? But it's always finding the first instance of each of these things. Okay. All right, so those are the basic things that we want to do. I'm going to show you something else now. Let's say we have, I'll go back to this one, where we had red, okay, right? You recall what this did. It found all the lines where the word red occurred, and then it said substitute fish, for fish, put shark in, right? Here's something we can do. Now, if I take that S and I put an exclamation point in front of it, based on what we've done so far, before you hit return, before you hit enter, what would you expect to have happen? What does the exclamation point do? Do you remember what it does? Yeah. Sorry?
Typically it means everything else. So
Everything
it's
else? Not?
Yes.
What do you think? What?
So it'd be like it would be attacking the blue, little, and big.
So the lines that don't contain red. Were you going to, Lonzo, did you say something? Did you want to?
I just said not.
Not. Okay, right. So the logical bang means not. Okay, so let's look and see what it does. Yep, that's what it does. Okay, so it says you have this thing addressed, your address that you've selected is red, but yes, you're saying perform this substitution on all the lines except the ones that contain that address, right? Okay, so that's a pretty powerful thing to do too, because sometimes it's easier to define something in terms of what you don't want, right? An exclusion. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, so this is what you do when you have one item that you're looking for, okay? It is possible to also provide a range of addresses where you say between this marker, this address, and this second address, I want changes to be made. So I'll show you how to do that, okay? So let's say we take, let's go back to this one, okay, where we have red, right? I'm going to change that to 1. Actually, I'll change it to 2. Let's make this 2. All right, so we're saying we're looking for 2, but then we'd like to change all the lines between the one that contains 2 and the one that contains blue. Okay, so this is the syntax that we use for this. Can you guys see this? Instead of having the address offset by just those slashes, you have to specify 2 addresses, right? The first address here with slashes around it, then you put a comma between them, okay? Then you put the second address. All right, so let's try that. Okay, so what did it do? Okay, you're saying start with the line that has 2 in it, and that's this line, and sub in shark, right? Bless you. Then keep going, okay, until you get to the line that contains blue. Now you'll notice that the line that does contain blue also has the change being done in it, okay? Right, and then you stop, okay? So this is what it is. Remember, sed works one line at a time, okay? So you've got, it starts with this line, it ends with this one, but it still does the operation on that line, okay? So now let's try something else. Let me see, I think, okay, let's go back here and start with big. And let's end with little. Okay? So what happened here? Yeah.
After running out of lines, it looped back to the start to try to find the loop again.
But it's a stream editor, so it only deals with the lines one at a time.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's not correct. It's a good guess, but it's not correct. Yeah.
It started at the first big, ended at the first little, started again at the second big, and didn't have anywhere to end, so it just kept going.
Just kept going until it ran out of stuff. Yes, so that's how the stream editor works. Like, when you look at the whole file, you think, oh, of course you're going to loop back, right? Or you say, you know, or you know, when I looked at this, forgetting that it was a stream editor, I thought, well, it should have failed on the second one because there was no ending, right? It should always be looking for pairs, a start and an end, right? But that's not correct either. You got to think of it as what happens here is, based on this syntax, it says turn on the substitution when you find the string big, okay? Turn off when you find the string little. Okay, but it doesn't say, okay, then I'm done. It just keeps evaluating one line in the file after another, okay? So then it says turn on, see it came and it hit big again, right? And then it kept going, right? And then it never encountered little, so it just stayed on until the file was done, okay? But we need to investigate this a little bit more because we want to see what else it might do. What happens if I put this in instead? What's going to happen there?
All condition.
Why?
Because it's searching for an orange to end on, but there's no orange.
There is no orange to end on. Right. Okay. Here's another one. What if we do this? We've got big in here, right? What will happen if I put blue in as the ending? Actually, no, that's not a good one. Let's do a different one. Let's try making the first one instead of big. Let's make it 2 and make the second one little, okay? Where those both appear in the same line, right? What will it do? So I wasn't sure what was going to happen for this one, okay? The start and the end are in the same line. But apparently it doesn't recognize that, okay? It must be that it doesn't expect to have the end to appear in the same line. Okay, so if you are in a situation where you want something, and this is a possibility, okay, think about how you're going to set things up in your file, that this won't work. What I wanted it to do was to only switch the second line to shark, the 2 little shark, and have everything else be fish, but it didn't work. Okay, so this is what it does. Yes?
Could we just like leave, could we just do /2 and then /s, or?
Yes, that would actually be better, but what I'm saying is, like, if you had something more general where you had a bigger file, right? But yes, if that's all you wanted, was you could do this, right? And then it would work. Absolutely, yeah. So it's, it's a question of what you're trying to do. It's helpful when you're doing something like this to know what kind of data you're working with, right? Otherwise, you might be caught by surprise in ways that you're not happy about. Okay, do you guys have any other questions about this? So these are the syntaxes, okay? There are examples like this. Some examples, I think we've done more in the notes that are on Canvas, so you can look at them. But I did want to show you some other ones as well. So here's something. You can also put more than one command in. So for example, let's say we want to do cat fish list, okay? And then we want to do sed, okay, let's say 2, red, okay, so it's between 2 and red, right? And then if you want to put in more than one substitution or other command, then you can put them in curly braces, okay? So we have the addresses set up, and then I can say something like this. substitute fish, shark, okay, like that, and then I put a semicolon indicating that I'm done with that command. And then I do it again, substitute shark, whale. Okay, put in the slash there. This should work, hopefully. Okay, put the curly braces. So what I've done here is I'm now saying, once I identify these places between the lines containing 2 and red, these are the 2 things I want to do, okay? And then I close out with my quotation mark, right? And then I put in fish list. Oh, no, wait, not fish list. No, that should work. Yeah, I don't need to put anything else, right? That should work. Okay. All right. So what happened here? Starting with the line containing 2, substitute fish, shark for fish, okay? And then substitute whale in place of shark. So we never see shark at all, right? Keep going until you hit red, and that would be here, right? So sometimes you have something where you want to put more than one thing, okay? And if you can do this in this way, you could set it up in a file. You could put the commands in a file sequentially, or you can actually put them in like this using a pipe. Okay, all right. Do you guys have any questions on any of this stuff so far? I hope this is straightforward. I'm trying to make it as clear as possible. I think you're going to have to play around a little bit to do stuff, but just try things out and see what you get. Now, here is something else. We've talked a little bit around regular expressions. We are going to be getting to them more, but I do want to talk about some of the substitutions that you might want to be able to do. Let's say, for example, you want to append a word to the end of a line, which is one of the things I think I asked you to do in the assignment that's due on Tuesday. This is what we can do. Let's just take this file, the fish list, okay? I want to, let's say in the lines that contain the word red, okay, I would like to append, let me just do it this way, okay? I'm going to search for red. No, red. Okay, that's the address. Red, okay, and then S, right? I want to append to the end of a line the word hello, okay? So this is what I do. The thing I'm searching for is the end. The $sign is the symbol that tells you you're at the end of the line. Okay, so I just use that symbol by itself, and the word hello, I want to put it in there, okay? That's what I'm subbing in there. I close this out, see what happens. Okay, so it's kind of what I wanted, but not exactly, right? You see that I've got this problem. I'm going to go back and fix it now because I would like there to be a space here. Okay, so you can put a space in, right? Because everything is surrounded with a single quote. Here we go. Okay. Now, if instead I wanted to do that to the beginning of the line, instead of a $sign, it's the caret. Okay. All right, well, actually, I should format that differently. See, it's good to try things out, right? I realize, no, I don't want a space there. I want a space at the end, like that, right? There we go. Okay. All right, so that's pretty nice to be able to do that. And, you know, this is you're starting to see the power of being able to do things like this. And we'll be just doing more and more as we go. Okay. There are more advanced commands for sed. I'm going to just write on the board the syntax that's associated with sed in general. Okay. This is very general. We're going to be looking at specific examples. It always helps, I think, to kind of look at both. So you can, if you want, use an address, right? It's not required. We know that, right? So that's why I put a bracket around it, okay? And then you could maybe separate it from a second address. So you can use 1 or 2. And the way that we indicate that is as follows, okay? If you're going to have a second one, it has to have a comma before it, right? Both are optional, okay? You can't have the second one without the first one. So that's kind of what I just said in words. I'm summarizing by putting the syntax on the board. After that, you can use the exclamation point, the bang, to indicate not the thing that I'm going to tell you now. Like we've already looked at not substituting, right? The not certain thing, right? And then we put the command, the actual command that we want to do, and then there might be some arguments that come along with that. Now, all we've done at this point is we have used S for substitute, but there's lots of other commands that we can use. Okay, so I want to show some of these to you now. So let's say, for example, I want to take this fish list again, okay, and I'm going to pipe it through, okay, sed, right, and I'm going to use an address and look for a line that contains 2, okay? But I don't want to do a substitution. What I want to do is I want to just stop working on this file at that point. I want to just search for it and stop, okay? So I can use Q to quit. There we go, okay? So if I do that, the only thing that comes out are the first 2 lines. So it's as soon as I find a line that contains that address, I stop, okay? And, you know, you could pipe that to something, right? That's something you could do. There's different things that you might be able to use this for, okay? But it's finding that match, that address. Okay. All right, here's another one. You could have a situation where you do cat fish list, okay, and then sed, and again I'm going to do 2, okay, and let's say I do this red, okay, and then I do P, okay, like that. And what happened here? It took the lines between 2 and red, where we found those matches, which was this line and this line, and it printed them again. Okay, so it ended up taking them and repeating them. Again, there might be a situation you want to do that, right? Okay. All right. Here's another one. Let's go back. I use set of Q, I'm going to use D. Okay, as soon as I find that line 2 that contains 2, I say D, and that deletes the line. Okay? So it's a way to remove things that match. Now notice everything's printing to this screen, but you can always send it to a file, right? Okay. Another thing that we can do, this one's a little bit more complicated. We can do sed, okay, and it's going to be, cat fish list, okay, and then sed, right, and the thing we want to put in here now is between 2 and red, again, we'll do the same thing, 2, comma, red, right, we're going to do what's known as a translation, okay, now I don't know why the letter Y is used for this. Maybe it's because it was available and hadn't been taken by some other command, okay, but we use Y here. And basically it's a mapping. You're mapping, okay? You take a string, let's say you have a bunch of characters. I'm going to pick the letters O, E, let's do E, I, and O, okay? Because those are all the vowels that appear in my fish list, okay? And let's say that I would like to capitalize them. I'll replace this E with capital E, capital I, capital O, okay? So I put those in like that. Close it out. Okay, now what you'll see from what I did was the letters are replaced with a one-to-one mapping, okay? I don't know what would happen. We can try see what would happen if we don't have these lengths of strings to be the same. But you'll notice that every actually, this is interesting. Oh, right, it was only in these lines, right, that this happened. The letter O, the letter I, the letter E, they appear in other lines, so I forgot about the U in blue. Oh, well, that's all right. Maybe I'll add that in for the next one. Okay, but you see that it replaced all the instances. It didn't strictly go with the first instance. We didn't have to use G. It was a global replace of all those things. Okay? Yeah.
What does the Y stand for?
The Y, it means translate. When I'm talking about these advanced commands are found in the table in the notes. I think it's table 4.3. So let me just look at it and I'll tell you what it says. Because I went through and I pulled out the ones that I thought that might be interesting. Yeah, it basically says you're translating this first, it says translate the first character here to this first character after in the substitution, translate the second character to the second character, translate the third character to the third character. And you can have any number of characters here. So I don't feel like Y is a very obvious letter to use for that command, but that's what's used, okay? And I assume it's because, yeah, T is has a different meaning here. It does something else. So that's the letter that was available and was selected. Like when you make up your own computer language, you get to call things what you want. So this is what the author picked. I don't know why, okay? All right, so if we go now and change this, let's change this to, let's make this big now instead of red, okay? Because now it'll match more, and I would like to put this in, what would happen if I put in U, but I don't put in something over here to map it to, okay? Doesn't like it. Oh, okay, so get chided and told that the strings are of different lengths. Okay, well that answers that question, right? So it means that you can't do that. It's not like the TR that we can use directly to the command line that's not part of SED, where you can have strings of different lengths to translate. This one you can't. Okay, so that's just an example of how that would work. Okay. Now there are some other ones that I wanted to show you. For example, let me see. We can use this. Go back here. Okay. Use L. Okay. And what does it do? It puts in the pattern that is being matched. That kind of ran off the screen. Let me just show you a little bit more. I guess I'll do it like this so I can do more. Okay, so I'll bring this back so you can see it. Okay, what happens is when it finds a match, it prints what it's matching. Okay, and that appears in the output. Okay, so that we have this. This is the first match. Then this is the next match, and this is the third one. Okay, so sometimes you might want to have that information. So it's L is for list in this case. Okay. Let me see what else we have here. Okay. So here's another one. Let's say we have 2 comma big. Okay, and then we can put in W, which means write. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to write it to, or this file called find fish. Okay, put it in like that. Okay, and so it printed to the screen, but then I should now see a file called find fish on my desktop, and I do. So I'm going to open that up here. Open. Find fish. Okay, what happened? All the lines that matched this pattern were printed to the file find fish. Okay, that's something else you might want to do. Okay. Okay, there was another one I wanted to contrast with the $sign and the caret. Okay, I talked about how that would allow you to append a string of text to either the end or the beginning, right? Now, here's another one. If I do this, A, okay, and then I put in a text like, let's see, hola, okay, like that, okay? What I'm doing is I'm saying, I'm going to go back to this other thing, my fish list, okay? What I'm saying is I would like to append the word hola to any line that matches what I'm looking for here, okay? So if I do that, whoops, up here, okay, you see what gets sent out is after every line, right? It's not like the other case where hello appeared at the end of the line when we used $, right? This is a case where because I used this command A, it appended afterwards on the next line. Okay, so every line that matched got hola put on there. Okay, now if I change this to I, then it's going to insert the hola before each of the matching lines. Okay, so which line matches? This is the first line that matches. The hola was printed before. Okay, second line that matches, hola is printed before. Third line that matches, hola is printed before. Okay. All right. I think that pretty much covers all of the said stuff that I wanted to talk to you about. I do believe that at this point you should be able to complete the assignment. If not, I would suggest that you read some of the documentation, come talk to me, talk to tutors. We have a bunch of tutors for this class. But does anybody have any questions on this material, this said stuff? No? Okay. All right. Let's, we have about 10 minutes left before I want you to start the quiz. Okay. So let me just do a little bit more. You remember that we have this function that you put together, this script, where you can type battery to the command line. Let me do clear here. Okay, bat, like that, right? And it can tell you how much juice you have left in your battery, right? And that's pretty nice. Now, what we're going to be doing is starting to prepare to do a data collection where you're going to be monitoring how much battery life you have left by checking every few minutes, okay? And so in preparation for that, we're going to be taking the script that we wrote already and updating it a little bit, okay? So let's look at that script. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy it over to my desktop. Now you remember where it is, right? Which bat? Here it is, right? Okay, now let me show you a way you can copy it, which is pretty cool. Okay, CP, okay, $, which bat? Okay, so you remember this $, with the parens around it means it will execute what's inside. Okay. What happened? Oh, right, I forgot to tell it where to put it. Okay. I wanted to put it here, and I wanted to call it the same thing. Okay, so there we go. So it's now on my desktop. Okay, there it is. You should have one as well. It should look just like this, a little dark gray icon with a hashtag and a bang, right? Because it should be that you've made it executable, right? Yeah.
Why can we take things out of that file, that folder, but we can't put into it without using sudo?
You're making a copy. You're not taking it out. Yeah. I don't know if you can take it out. We could try that, but I'm not going to do that right now. I mean, the idea being that you only want to put executables in there that are generally useful. And it's kind of just be careful kind of thing. It's a restriction to make you careful. Okay, now I'm going to actually rename this file because I don't want to screw things up. I'm going to call it mv bat, and I'm going to call it new bat. Okay, so now I've made a clear distinction between what I have before and now I have this new one. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's go in here and open it in Featherpad. Open. Okay, there it is, new bat. Okay, so there it is. All right, so let's go up here and remember how this thing works. Okay. Okay, we're going to start adding some stuff to it, right? But if you execute bat, you know what's going to come out, right? I guess we'll just go back in here. So we'll just start with this. Okay, if we do the following, we can type in, we type at the beginning of this line, okay, level equals, now don't put any spaces, okay? Just level equals $, open parenthesis, and then go all the way to the end and close off the parenthesis like this, okay? There we go, okay? And then I'm going to type echo $level. Okay, so those are the changes that we've made, right? You see that? We added in this at the beginning, a closing paren at the end of the line, and then this line that's echo $level. Okay, now I'm going to save this. It's already an executable, so I should be able to type it up here to the command line. So if I type new bat, why does it say that?
Because you
Is
use
dot slash.
Yes, right. I have to. It's not in user local bin, right? So I have to put /new bat. Okay, there it is. Okay, so that worked fine. Okay, now we want to start doing some stuff to this. Okay, for example, we don't really need that word percentage in there anymore. Okay, so let's go into this new file that we're working with. We want to add something to the end. You see how it says sort U? Okay, I'm going to put a pipe in here, and I'm going to put sed, and then I'm going to say, notice I'm using a single quote, S percentage colon slash slash, meaning find the word percentage, okay, followed by the colon, and replace it with nothing, like just remove it. Okay, so let's try saving that and making sure that it works. Save, save, save. Come back up here. Okay, so that's what you should get. All right? Because it's the number that we care about, right? Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out that %. Okay, so let's go ahead in here, back to the file. And we're going to use another pipe, okay? With sed again. See, you guys are experts at sed now, right? So no problem. So we do this, where we put in S slash, we're looking for % slash slash. Again, we want to remove it, okay? I'll make this file even wider so it's more clear what we're doing. There we go. Okay, save, save. Okay, and then come up here, execute again. Okay, you should just have a number there now. Does anybody have spaces also to the left of theirs? Yeah? Okay, if you want to remove space, then what you can do is this. You can put in another pipe. I don't have that. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, mine doesn't do that. Okay, but I know that sometimes it does. Okay, so you can put another pipe. I mean, you can put it in after. It's fine. Let's put it in after, okay? So another pipe, and then sed. And you want to put in substitute, okay, slash space slash slash, and then globally, right? Take them all out, okay? Save. And then up here, execute. And so hopefully all you're getting back is that number that tells you how much power you power you still have in your battery, okay? Has everybody got that? Is that working for you? Yes, hopefully yes. Okay. All right. Next thing that we want to do is we want to capture the time at which this happens, okay? Because think about what you're going to do. You're going to be checking periodically, you're going to be checking your battery level, and you're going to want to know the time when that's happening, okay? So let's do time equals, remember, don't put any spaces in, okay? Time equals, and then $. Remember we use date to get that, okay? So let's just use plus, for now, let's just use H, okay, colon, wait, I need to have a % sign in front of the H, don't I? %H colon %M, okay, that should work. And then down here, we want to echo both the date and the time, right? The time and the level. But in order to echo both of them with a space between them, we have to enclose these in double quotes.
The line above, I think, put a $sign out.
I'm sorry, what that?
Put a $sign, not a percentage.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you, right. Screwed that up. Okay, so that's where we go. Everybody got that? All right. So let's save this. Okay, so that's what I got, right? We can fiddle around with the format, but basically, you know, if you're running this, you can imagine that every so often you want to check this, and then you end up with data, right? Where you have two columns of data, right? The first column is time, and the second column is the battery level, and that you could plot it, right? You could plot it so that you could show how the battery drains, how quickly it drains. And you're going to get a graph. We're going to be talking about how to do that, but not immediately, okay? But we're just setting up for that. Yes?
So when it's echo money level money time,
Money.
if I remove the quotes, I still get the same result. I just don't get a big space in front of it. Once I put the quotes in, I get a big space.
You get a big space? That's very odd. I don't know why you do. I would have to look at what you're doing there. But I'm not going to do that right now. We can talk about it after, okay? But if you want to show it to me, please do. Okay. This is as far as I was going to go today with class, but we have a quiz to take now. So this quiz is relatively short. You have as much time as you need to take it, though, okay, if you want to stick around. It is closed book, closed notes. You have to work independently on it, so the only thing I want to open is your brain, right? And so I'm going to hand them out now, and then as soon as you're done, just give them to me and you're free to go. Okay? So please put away your computers, put your phones on the table in front of you, and then I can give you your quiz. Everybody do the same thing. Okay, this one is Okay, I just got a question about question 2. It says, what does the something option for the BC command do? That's a lowercase l, okay? I know it's ambiguous, I'm sorry.